Speed guessing is one of my favorite things to do in Geoguessr. So what I wanted to do today is show you a game I did earlier, show you my thought process and certain patterns and clues that you can apply for future rounds to be able to guess as fast as possible. So yeah, I'll let this game play out, then we can go back and explain some stuff. Yeah, this one was terrible region guess, but I'll get to that later. This one is annoying, like I moved this so slowly, and then this one was fine. Okay, so let's go back to round one. Okay, so this isn't going to be a complete, full, detailed explanation on every round because they're not the most difficult ones, but the point is to be able to guess them as fast as possible. So, also I'm not going to pretend to be like a pro or a botanist or anything like that. I'm just going to say what I know. I can't do anything else. So immediately what I see, this looks very cold, mostly because of the grass over here and more importantly, these trees. So that would mean, well, it's obviously Russia, but that would mean something like Russia, maybe some places in Eastern Europe and North America. And I know it's Russia immediately simply because of these wooden houses. Now you do find wooden houses elsewhere, but when they look like this, along with a perfectly straight dirt road, it's almost always Russia. Along with this pole. This pole is quite important. I think I would have seen it at the time, but this pole with the hooks, you see this in Russia, Latvia, Bulgaria, and probably a few other places. And we've also got some A-frame poles in the background. I mean, I probably zoomed in, but which is more European than anything else, but combined with every other clue, it should be more than enough. So you may have also noticed I'm playing on an improved world, which isn't what I usually do. But there are a few good things to talk about here, including one of the most niche things in map meta. If you know if you've played duels, you would have noticed there's a lot of Russia, so that definitely would have influenced my guess. And I don't want to talk too much about this, because I may or may not be making a camera generation guide, which will come out soon-ish. But this is Gen 4. If you don't know what that means, that basically just means it's the highest quality camera. And luckily, I believe all these rounds are in Gen 4, so I won't have to bring it up too much. So Gen 4... lot of Gen 4 in Russia and a lack of Gen 4 in other Eastern European places like, I don't know, Albania or Serbia or North Macedonia, stuff like that. So that makes Russia pretty standard. As for the region guess, it just looks fairly Western, not really too much else to say. So yeah, that was round one. Okay, this one is a bit harder to explain. Now, if you have a lot more time to look at the round, this also becomes a lot simpler, simply because of the sun. The sun is in the north, so that means you're going to be in the southern hemisphere, but I don't think I would have seen that at the time. What I would have seen is the very dry landscape, the Gen 4 of course, and this straight road with dashed yellow inner lines. I immediately know this can't be something like Africa because we don't have the correct Google car. No place in Southeast Asia looks like this. No place in Europe looks like this. So this only leaves the Americas. And finding a road like this with barely any cars and with dashed inner lines, I don't really like that for the US. So that only leaves South America. And with this camera generation, only Mexico, well, it's obviously Peru, but Brazil, Mexico, Peru, Northern Argentina and Chile look possible. Although it can't be Chile because they don't use yellow lines basically ever. And it's Peru because of these huge mountains in the background, plus, as I said earlier, the inner yellow road line, the Gen 4, and also this post thing. Now, it kind of reminded me of the Peruvian bollard. It isn't one, but it may have influenced my guess a little bit. I'm trying to think of what else you can see on this round. But no, this one is mostly, I mean, they're all solvable with landscape, but this one in particular. Here, okay, this was the most annoying guess, because looking back at it, it becomes way simpler. Just looking at these trees, which, yeah, I think here's a bit of example. These are southern pines, which I found mostly on the southern states of the US, like Alabama, Georgia, eastern Texas, and things like that. But I still went America because, again, road lines. This time we got a mixture of double yellow lines plus one yellow line with a second dashed yellow line. Very American, I guess also Canadian, but in Canada having just this warm landscape with this dirt color, it just doesn't look Canadian. But of course, with the southern pines, we know it's going to be America anyway, but I didn't know that at the time. And again, you could also see an argument for Mexico, but I just don't think it looks dry enough. It looks warm, I don't think it looks particularly dry. Of course, I say it looks warm, then I go in New York for whatever reason, but that's fine. This is definitely the round which I think will be the hardest to explain, simply because it's just a landscape guesser. This is New Zealand. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but I often get New Zealand and the UK mixed up all the time. I have no idea why, but luckily that didn't happen this time because their roads look very similar. Pretty narrow roads with dashed yellow lines, dashed white inner lines, very UK or New Zealand, not really Australia, luckily. But speaking of Australia, the way these hills are shaped, as in here it's all completely flat, and then a hill, or yeah, I guess a hill just spawns out of nowhere. That reminds me of something you'd find in Victoria and Queensland. Not really something, I mean, you can find in the UK, but I associate that more with Australia and New Zealand. Also, this fence, it really is weird. Like, you just see certain things and you just know it's a country. This fence reminds me of New Zealand. It's relatively sunny, which you may sometimes use to influence your guess. But besides that, it's just New Zealand. And I went Southern Island. I think really that was just a guess. I'm not really good at telling apart the islands, even with what's its name, even with having more time, but that's fine. And this is the last round. This one is Mexico, because it looked quite similar to the US round we had earlier, but this one looks a bit dry. And plus these very green mountains with a lot of trees on them, reminds me way more of Mexico than the US. And I can see an argument for many places, but considering we have this truck which is driving on the right hand side, that eliminates a lot of places. Like right hand drive plus Gen 4 pretty much eliminates all of Southeast Asia, as most of them drive on the left, and the ones that do drive on the right, like I don't know, Laos, Cambodia, they drive on the right, I guess, except for Philippines, which doesn't look too different from it, but either way. But this may seem very strange, very not true, but having a solo red pickup truck is very Mexican for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but I see that a lot there. And somebody that knows vegetation and all of that would probably be able to tell it's Mexico just based on these small, I guess, bushes over here. I don't want to get too meta-y, but having a Google car with patches of light blue and white is very Mexican. And in terms of getting it mixed up with the Southeast Asia, doesn't look like Brazil, doesn't look like northern Argentina or Chile. You'd usually see road lines there. And if you have enough time, we have a trident pole in the background, which is very common in Mexico. It's very common in Uruguay as well, but Uruguay would never look like this, and plus that is stuck in Gen 3 anyway. I have no idea. I really do have no idea if all of this rambling made any sense, but that is a way, like these are some ways you can instantly recognize some places. And that is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. Let me know if I should do more of this style where I record something in advance and then speak over it. It definitely does help me in increasing my ability to improvise speech and all of that. So it's pretty fun for me to do, and hopefully everyone else finds it useful in at least another way. And yeah, thank you for watching and see you soon.